Welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. Following on a bit from yesterday's, because I was thinking I didn't really talk very much about two of the subjects. I know I talked about Beyond the Imaginary Curves and analysis of Miles Davis, but the Sheeps and Heaps, there's this bit about GC math and Negalice. Which is GCM math is a naturally occurring protein. I think it's to do with the immune system. Obviously, Des put some videos on there, and I think the guy's name was it Peter Knox or David Knox, something like that. He's on trial currently because he's the one selling this, or one of the people selling this. I was going to say drug, and some people have got sick from doing it. I know on BBC News it reported HIV sufferers who nearly died taking it. I don't know, like the reason I didn't talk about it too much is because I don't know that much about it. Also, I did sort of include it with the problem is about trust. How do you know, whether it is a good thing or not, and also because he's running a business and he's selling this product. Obviously, he's got vested interest in keeping this product on the market and defending it. Apparently, it was free originally. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but he had to. There's a reason why he had to start charging for it. But I always worry about that. That just could be some excuse to sort of justify payment. And to get around that argument of money corrupting, and it was making me think, and also that it was about the trusts as well, where individuals, and I don't even know if it was governments. I know they were talking about the HMRC using accounts in Gibraltar and the Cayman Islands, and using trust funds to squirrel away money that you never have to declare. Like tax haven stuff, which is really interesting, because then you see how it's possible to, like normally whenever you fill out forms and things, you have to declare all this money, and they're really hard on people, especially like people with benefits, if they don't claim something. But all these rich people putting all these trust funds in other countries, and and it was about the history as well of these things. It was really interesting. But what I was thinking about now is to do with that, is how the world would be without money. Now, I know we hear that topic quite a lot, but I was just thinking that if we didn't, obviously a lot of people, they all want, well, everyone should realise that money is it in the way of our progress? And I think it is, because if you think about it, a lot of these products that are put out there are it's about competition, it's about getting that money from one person's pocket into your business. And like I've said before, you could have Sony, say, how many different television sets do they make? They might make a year 20 different models, and what's the difference between them? Well, it's usually like a scale, isn't it? At the very lowest of the market, where it's the cheapest one, it'll have the very basics of those things. And at the very end, the most expensive television, I don't know, £5,000, £6,000 or whatever, it'll have a curved screen, it'll have, speakers already on it, 7.1 or, whatever the specifications are. So basically, they're manufacturing different qualities of television, or another way of looking at it, they're inventing the best television they possibly can, and then lots of inferior versions of that. Now, if you think about that, what a waste of things. And the only reason that's done is because of money, because they know that not everyone can afford that best television, but some people can afford this basic one. Now, if you had a world without money, that's definitely going to be the title of this one, then they wouldn't need to do that, would they? They wouldn't need all that extra labour just to make different televisions. They wouldn't need to put out inferior products. They'd only put out that one if there was no money, wouldn't they? Just think about that for a second. If there was no money, if people just went into a shop and picked something up and took it home, or it was delivered to them, and you didn't have to pay for anything, it was just free and available. And it seems like a wacky thought, but just imagine a world like that. Why would you make an inferior product? You wouldn't, would you? You'd just make the best one you possibly can, because there's no financial gain out of it. There would be no reason to make all those inferior televisions. So the only reason we make those inferior televisions is because of money, because of competition, because we're trying to get that share of the market. And then imagine that over everything that we do. What about medicine? Are we doing that in medicine as well? Are they putting out inferior medicines because, they want to, every year they want to change it and make it better, whereas maybe they knew how to make it better in the first place? There's a lot, when you think about these things, and I think that, if you think about that, that means that lots of people are wasting their time basically making these inferior products, and that must be holding us back, because we're not, we're just holding on to those things rather than progressing. I've found a perfect light bulb that lasts forever. We all know about that story about, is it Philips that patented the light bulb that lasts forever because they didn't want to lose the sales? I know I always use that one, but that's an obvious example. How many other things are there like that, where they patented it because they didn't want to, or patented it, they didn't want to, to lose their market, so they just squirreled it away somewhere, and they've been adapting it and making these light bulbs that last longer and longer and longer. So they must be downgrading the technology to be able to get to that. But what a waste of human endeavour. We might have wasted, if you think of just the light bulb, this is just the light bulb, we might have wasted 30 years and we still haven't got that original light bulb that lasts forever. We've got ones that last for like 5 years now, isn't it? Maybe 10 years. But they might have the design for a light bulb that lasts forever. And that may never come, or it may come, say, in 100 years, when they found out where it doesn't matter and they've got different technology and they're making the money somewhere else. They're not making enough money out of light bulbs, so they just put that out to end the competition. So imagine that would be 100 years of lack of progress. So sometimes I think we've got to think about all the things that we do currently and assess them and think, wait a minute, are we actually progressing or wasting our time just because we want to hold on to these things because we don't know any better? I'm just amazed that I can't be the only person that's had this thought. I'm sure loads of people listen to this said, obviously we know all this, but what about the people with power? Those people at the top of all these countries, the intellectuals, the scientists, the politicians, all of these people with influence and power. They've never thought about this. They've never thought of, let's change all this. Let's stop wasting our time and start progressing. Because if you think about it, all these people making these inferior products, for what? When they could be doing something better. Filling our world up full of, digging holes in the ground and throwing away stuff because it's now inferior. We could have maybe saved the planet doing that, and all the resources that we wasted. I mean, it looks stupid when you think about it that way. Look at all the resources that may have been wasted, that may have a limit to them, just because we want to keep the system, as it were, running the same way. Such a crazy thought. I don't know, it just seems so sensible to me. And the other thing I was thinking about is Christmas. So someone was having a birthday and they had a cake and they were giving out cakes. And then it just dawned on me that, wait a minute, what about the children that don't have cakes. You know, I was thinking about, you know, we all must have felt what it's like sometimes to, you know, like if you're dieting or you're fasting, what it's like not to eat, or if you're, you know, waiting like 5 hours, or you're traveling or something, and you feel how it feels to be hungry. You know, some of us would have fasted for a long amounts of time, and they will feel how that feels. Or the people who have maybe gone a night or a day without food, how that feels. Now imagine those people that's their life. They may never taste the cake that's so readily, you know, everyone has a birthday and Christmas or whatever, and here's a cake, have a cake, you know, it's you just go in a shop and buy loads of cakes for, you know, everyone. And there's nothing, and it's just a luxury. But there's people at this moment right now who have nothing in their bellies, maybe haven't eaten for days, that are starving, dying on this planet right now. And I was just thinking about Christmas, how the illusion of it, the illusion of Father Christmas, Santa Claus, whatever you want to call him, Saint Nick, coming around to all the children and giving them presents. And that's why people think about Christmas, they get that sort of feeling. And yeah, I know, I was a child, I remember how great it was to get presents and that whole thing. But the illusion of it is false, because not all children are going to get these presents, are they? Because we all know the truth of the matter. But those children, people forget about that. They think about the beauty of Christmas and the spirit of Christmas and all that, and you know how good it is to give presents and stuff. But and they fool themselves to thinking about this lovely human endeavour that we have, and yet there's people out there in reality who are starving, who won't get food, let alone a present, who may have heard of this Christmas, of this Father Christmas, that never comes to them. They may not even have a chimney or even a house to live in. And I know, maybe I'm sort of not dramatising, but you know, I know what I'm doing, but I just want to make that point that we forget that because we live in these illusions. You know, a lot of people will be really excited about Christmas, and it's a delusion. You know, we know it's a story, but it just made me think about the children out there who are starving and have nothing, and yet we're telling our children, or those who are, about, you know, Father Christmas coming all around the world, going to every good child. He has a list of everyone, and he knows what everyone wants, and he's coming to every child around the globe. And at Christmas time you can go online and you can find, you know, a map of Santa going around the world. But he's not though, is he? Because there'll be loads of children that will never have a present, never feel that love. And what is that love? That love is a story. That love is about humans loving other humans. You know, hopefully there's no one young listening to this that, well, the lie of Christmas, you know. But the truth of it is, it's a man-made thing made up so that we can have an excuse, a reason, a story of bringing joy to children. You know, we can give them a present and make them, you know, like a fantasy. And yeah, I know that it's not good to lie to children, but what I mean is a story to make them feel, you know, that, you know, if you've ever been a child through Christmas, you know how it feels. It does feel brilliant to wake up on that day. But we're only doing it for a select few. We're not doing it for everyone. But wait a minute, that thing, if we could bottle it, of course we can, because we're doing it. We created it. We have the ability to have that feeling for everyone. It's such a shame that humanity is, because we're divided and we're taught to be in our own countries, and we're taught also to have our own families, and yet this is your brother, your sister, your mother, your father. Now I'm starting to wonder, do these things really exist per se? Because they keep us in this little unit, this bubble, to make us think that, well, that you're this and that they're over there, it's us and them, it's another division, whereas we're all one species, and it's just we able to, to replicate ourselves in our children. But we need to stop seeing those divisions, because those divisions are what's causing this problem. It's saying like money is causing the problem as well, and start seeing, you can have your surname, your family name, you can have your country name if you want, but just remember that we're all one. You should love your child and your brother and sister the equal to the rest of the human beings. Yeah, we're always going to have more attachment to those ones that we're closest to, but we shouldn't lose sight of that love that we should have for everyone. And I know I'm coming across very hippie-ish now, but I think it needs to be said, because I think people have lost that idea, because we have been divided into countries and bits of land and all the different boxes that we're put in, because humans love boxes as much as they love stories. But we need to unbox all that and remember that we are all one, and that we should care for each other, no matter whether we bore them or not, or they bore us. We need to care for each one of us, because we're all here together at this moment. And I believe in a way, and especially if you believe in God, that we're all accountable for every single person that is alive when we are alive. And I think we should all be answerable to that, because it's like if you went in a school party, you would see those individuals, all of them, as being, you're a teacher and you have to look after them. Or if we went into space, if there was such a thing, and we went on a planet, no matter the nationalities or the ages, we'd all look after each other. So just because there's 7 billion of us, if that's true, then why should we not have that same sentiment? Take care, take it easy. God bless and peace.